In this tribute video, we honor the American legends who have passed away today and in recent days. Welcome back to Movie Newscast. These remarkable individuals made lasting contributions to their fields, and we sadly say goodbye to them. Our heartfelt condolences go out to their families and fans. As we remember their legacies, we invite you to show your support by giving this video a thumbs up if their lives or work have touched you in any way. Your gesture is a sign of respect and remembrance. El Tager, reggaeton star, dead at 37. A week after he was shot in the head. El Tager, the reggaeton star who was found shot in the head in Miami last week, has died, according to a statement posted to his Instagram. According to the IG post, written in Spanish, El Tager, born Jose Manuel Carbajal Zaldivar, passed away Thursday afternoon. The announcement thanked fans for their prayers over the last week, as they all hoped for a miracle. The statement says that El Tager is now reunited with his mother in heaven, and the rest of his family thanks the medical staff at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami for doing everything they could to save the star. Miami Police Chief Manuel A. Morales gave an update last week, announcing the singer was in very critical condition after undergoing surgery. Authorities suspect El Tager was shot somewhere else and then driven to a neighborhood near the hospital. He was found shot in the head in the back of a Mercedes-Benz, with 2 red gas cans in the trunk on October 3. According to local reports, El Tager faced 2 criminal cases over the summer, one for strong-arm robbery and battery, and another for misdemeanor resisting an officer, pleading not guilty to both. The singer-songwriter released several singles and EPs over the years, most recently dropping the song Bonita back in May. The investigation into his death is ongoing. El Tager was 37. Ethel Kennedy, dead at 96. Ethel Kennedy, the widow of Robert F. Kennedy Sr., is dead. Ethel died Thursday morning as a result of complications related to the stroke she suffered last week, the famous family just announced. As we reported, Ethel had been hospitalized after suffering a stroke in her sleep. The Kennedys are remembering Ethel as a devout Catholic and daily communicant. Ethel had 11 children with RFK and was pregnant when he was assassinated in 1968, when he was running for president. Their children include Kathleen Kennedy, Joe Kennedy, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. She was also the sister-in-law of former President John F. Kennedy, who was also assassinated. A year after RFK's assassination, Ethel founded the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights nonprofit in his honor. Ethel received the Congressional Medal of Freedom back in 2014 when Barack Obama was president. The Kennedys say they are comforted in knowing she is reunited with the love of her life, our father, Robert F. Kennedy, her children David and Michael, her daughter-in-law Mary, her grandchildren Maeve and Suers, and her great-grandchildren Gideon and Josie. Ethel is survived by 9 children, 34 grandchildren, and 24 great-grandchildren. She was 96. RIP. Scottish DJ Jack Master, dead at 38 after head injury. Jack Revill, the Scottish DJ known as Jack Master, has died at age 38. Revill passed away Saturday morning in Ibiza, Spain, following complications arising from an accidental head injury, his family announced in an Instagram statement. His family, Kate, Sean, and Johnny, are utterly heartbroken, the statement said. While deeply touched by the overwhelming support from friends, colleagues, and fans, the family kindly requests privacy as they navigate the immense grief of this devastating loss. Jack's passion for music and his relentless drive to push creative boundaries through his work at the Numbers label and Rubata Records in Glasgow, including discovering countless innovative artists, made him a beloved and pioneering figure in the electronic music community, both in front of and behind the scenes, the message continued. His talent for blending genres and delivering electrifying DJ sets and productions earned him the respect and admiration of peers and fans across the globe. The family went on, noting that Revell's legacy will continue to inspire, and his impact on the world of dance music will remain indelible. Revell was born January 11, 1986 in Glasgow, Scotland. He worked at a record shop as a teenager and aspired to become a professional DJ. "I never worked for money," he said in an interview with Resident Advisor in 2012. "It was always just like, you would take a record per hour, so an import from Detroit or Chicago or New York was £7.50, which I guess you could say was quite a good wage." He added, "I never had to buy any records again, so that was an obvious perk." He later apologized in a statement and said he had made significant changes to address the destructive parts of his lifestyle by taking an extended period out. In response, Revell's victims issued a statement that read, "The position of the festival and its staff who were affected by Jack's behavior on the night is that Jack has directly apologized to them. He's taken time out to work on himself and undertaken to never repeat this behavior towards anyone else in future. He has our staff and the festival's support in working towards these aims and his own future happiness." Richard Dick Block dies. Former Kaiser Broadcasting president and USC professor, was 97. Richard Dick Block, the former president of Kaiser Broadcasting and an adjunct associate professor at the University of Southern California's School of Cinematic Arts, died September 30 at the age of 97. A cause of death was not given, and the news was confirmed by friend and mentee Russell Meyerson. 2 months shy of his 98th birthday, Block served as president of a Santa Monica-based consulting firm, Block Communications Group. Incorporated. He also taught TV station management at USC. His tenure on the business side of things within the entertainment industry included serving as the top executive of Kaiser Broadcasting, where he conceived of and executed a plan to build independent television stations in 7 of the top 10 national markets: Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. He was also the executive vice president of the TV station division of Metro Media prior to its sale to Fox, where he negotiated an agreement with Ted Turner's CNN to give his stations regular broadcast access to national and international video news coverage. Block served in the U.S. Merchant Marine during World War II and in the U.S. Coast Guard during the Korean War. He is survived by his 2 children, Julie Grunsky and Nick Block, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. A celebration of his life will be held at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. Peter E. Strauss dies. Veteran film exec, was 83. Peter E. Strauss, a veteran film executive, movie producer, and pioneering entrepreneur, died October 6 at his home in Beverly Hills. He was 83. He was surrounded by his beloved wife of 46 years, Susan, and his son, Jonathan. Over a remarkable 5-decade career, Strauss left an indelible mark on the film industry. As executive vice president of Mandalay Pictures for the past 25 years, he oversaw the financing and distribution of numerous film and television projects, including The Jacket and Air. He was instrumental in the growth of independent cinema, pioneering foreign sales and off-balance sheet financing for independent films. In 1998, Strauss was appointed president of Lionsgate Entertainment, a company he helped establish alongside Frank Giustra in 1997, overseeing its U.S. operations. During his tenure, Lionsgate rose to become a prominent force in independent film production and distribution. Previously, Strauss served as president, CEO, and chairman of the International Movie Group, where he produced and produced more than 30 films, including the Best of the Best series, Buster with Phil Collins, and Cadence, starring Charlie and Martin Sheen. Strauss began his film career at Allied Artists, eventually becoming executive vice president, shepherding films that included the 1973 Oscar Best Picture winner Cabaret, Papillon, and The Man Who Would Be King. He went on to become executive vice president of Rastar Films, the production company of Ray Stark. where he oversaw the production of notable projects such as The Electric Horseman and The Villain. In the 1980s, he founded Panache Productions, producing titles including Dance of the Dwarfs and Thunder Run. Strauss was educated at Oberlin College, the London School of Economics, and Columbia University School of Law. He was a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and was committed to philanthropy and mentorship throughout his life, inspiring and supporting young talent across the industry. Strauss is survived by his wife, the former Susan Rosnitz, his son, Jonathan, and daughter-in-law Elizabeth Westlake, grandchildren Teddy and Caroline, and many devoted friends and colleagues. A private graveside service was held October 8, and a celebration of his life will be announced at a later date. Ethel Kennedy dies. Robert F. Kennedy's widow and human rights advocate was 96. Ethel Kennedy, the widow of Attorney General and New York Senator Robert F. Kennedy, died Thursday of stroke complications. A political force unto herself, the sister-in-law of President John F. Kennedy and mother of 11 children, was 96. The family revealed on October 8 that Ethel Kennedy had suffered a stroke in her sleep on October 3 at her Cape Cod home and had been taken to a hospital. Her daughter Carrie Kennedy announced the news on social media. Having survived her husband by 56 years, the family matriarch went on to form the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights in the months following the then presidential candidate's assassination in 1968 in Los Angeles. Respected and beloved by generations of Americans and many others around the world, Ethel Kennedy was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama in 2014. Ethel and Robert F. Kennedy had 11 children, with sons David and Michael passing away in 1984 and 1997, respectively. Along with Emmy-winning filmmaker Rory, Ethel Kennedy is survived by her other offspring, former independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Kathleen Hardington Kennedy Townsend, Joseph Patrick Kennedy Gitta, Courtney Kennedy Hill, Mary Carey Kennedy, Christopher George Kennedy, Matthew Maxwell Taylor Kennedy, and Douglas Harriman Kennedy, as well their children and grandchildren. Lore Siegel, esteemed Austrian-American writer who fled the Nazis as a child, dies at 96. Lore Siegel, an esteemed Viennese-American author and translator whose gift for words helped her family escape from the Nazis, and who later drew upon her experiences as a Jewish refugee and immigrant for such fiction as Other People's Houses and Her First American, died Monday at 96. Siegel, a longtime resident of Manhattan's Upper West Side, died in her apartment after a brief illness, her publisher Melville House said in a statement. After settling in the U.S. in 1951, Siegel wrote novels, short stories, essays, and children's books, and translated the Bible and Grimm's fairy tales, which featured illustrations by her friend Maurice Sendak. Her life, filtered through memory and imagination, was her greatest muse. Other People's Houses, released in 1964 and originally serialized in The New Yorker, closely followed her childhood in Austria, her years in foster care in London during World War II, and her arrival in New York, where the growing familiarity with the city's sights and sounds, charged thus upon the air, makes the alien into a citizen. Her First American continued her early experiences in the U.S., while Lucinella was a comic novella inspired by her time in the 1970s at the Yaddo Artist Retreat in upstate New York. Siegel, who taught at Columbia University, Princeton University, and several other schools, satirized academic life in Shakespeare's Kitchen. Writing, at first, also didn't seem to work because she believed she had nothing to say. She had never been in love and thought no big things had happened to her, not even during the war. Her breakthrough came at class at the New School for Social Research in New York. After the class, we all kept meeting and doing our own creative writing class, Siegel told the AP. And somebody said to me, "How did you get to America?" And I began to tell the stories. And there was that experience of people listening, It was lovely. Nobody had ever done that. Most people don't have that experience, their story being valued. Tylee Kraft, beloved UNC receiver, dies at 23 from cancer. North Carolina wide receiver Tylee Kraft died Saturday morning after a lengthy battle with cancer, the school announced. Kraft, 23, of Sumter, South Carolina, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer on March 14, 2022. The UNC community had rallied behind him with the #TyleeStrong hashtag since his diagnosis. He had undergone numerous treatments, but the cancer spread through his body and brain. Still, he had enrolled in graduate courses toward a master's degree in applied professional studies and graduated in May with a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science/sports administration. North Carolina honored Kraft during Saturday's football game against Georgia Tech. It also happened to be the team's annual cancer awareness game. Friends and family members wearing shirts bearing Kraft's name and number were recognized during an on-field ceremony. Wide receiver Jay Jones wore Kraft's jersey with his No. 13 and last name during the game. Additionally, the North Carolina men's basketball team wore shirts bearing Kraft's name and number for its intra-squad scrimmage at the Smith Center following the football game and had a pre-scrimmage moment of silence in Kraft's honor. This young man fought so hard for his 2.5 years, North Carolina football coach Mack Brown said. The doctors told us he outlived what he should have. And he did it with a spirit, he did it with a smile on his face. He didn't miss a meeting, he didn't miss practice, he coached these other incredible young people. Brown told reporters he didn't learn of Kraft's death until after the game, but sensed something had happened after sharing an emotional hug with Kraft's mother at the end of the first quarter. I think the family feels the love, and they'll continue to feel the love, Brown said. What we've got to do is be strong and pray for strength for us as leaders to help these guys on the field and off the field. So more than ever before, I have got to step up and be stronger for them and make sure that I can help them manage the stuff and move forward in their lives. Christian industry veteran Dottie Leonard Miller passes. Dorothy Dottie Leonard Miller, founder and CEO of Daywind Music Group and New Day Christian Distributors, and co-founder of Billy Blue Records, passed away today, October 11. She was 79. A member of the Southern Gospel Music Hall of Fame and the Gospel Music Hall of Fame, artists and songwriters Miller has worked with have garnered countless Dove Awards, Singing News Fan Awards, BMI Christian Music Awards, Grammy nominations, 1 Grammy Award, and over 125 No.1 songs. Raised in Wilmington, Delaware, Miller didn't discover her professional calling until later in life. While raising 2 children in Hendersonville, Tennessee as a single mother, she gained business knowledge through clerical work at an accounting firm and a law firm, sales experience selling Germac hair products, and political savvy working for the Democratic Party of Tennessee on campaigns for Senator Jim Sasser, President Jimmy Carter, and others. She also worked a second job in ER admissions at Hendersonville Hospital to make ends meet. On a whim, she applied for a receptionist position at Calvary Records in Nashville, which brought her into the music industry. She later worked with radio stations and Christian bookstores to promote gospel artists like the Hinsons, the Telestials, and others. After a stint with Windchime Records, Miller started New Day Christian Distributors in 1981. The music distribution company was housed in her garage and focused initially on sheet music and albums by independent artists like Mike Atkins and Jimmy Swaggart. New Day Christian Distributors became a one-stop shop for labels and independent artists in Christian music. When she discovered the need for product of her own, Miller started Daywind Soundtracks with her friend and former boss at Windchime, Ronnie Drake. Daywind Soundtracks began to provide tracks to Christian and gospel singers around the world to sing to in church. Later, Miller and Drake started Daywind Records with the Cumberland Boys as its first artist. The label has recorded the top gospel artists of the past 35 years, including Greater Vision, the Crab Family, Gold City, Karen Peck and New River, Brian Free and Assurance, Triumphant Quartet, Down East Boys, The Perrys, The Hoppers, Tribute Quartet, The Guardians, Jonathan Wilburn, The Steels, Joseph Habedank, Scotty Inman, The Blackwood Brothers, The Nellens, Southbound, Lefevre Quartet, The Sound, High Road, Michael English, True Song, Legacy 5, and more. Miller is survived by her daughter, Susan Leonard Sovine, and grandchildren, Taylor McKellar and Kennedy Sovine, her son, Ed Leonard, his wife Kathleen, and their children Eddie Leonard, Mary Leonard, Evan Leonard, Aidan Leonard, Caroline Leonard, Rachel Zuckett, Joey Zuckett, Caroline Leonard, Ian Leonard, Liam Leonard, and Emily Leonard, her great-grandchildren Leo Zuckett and Eloise Joyce, her sister Cynthia Parensack, and her longtime companion Jer Miller. She was preceded in death by her brother, Bill Golt, and her parents, William and Dorothy Golt, a big man with big influence. George Little, a man whose 6'6" frame and outsized role across Moore County belied his last name, passed away shortly after midnight Friday morning. He was 82. Born in Pinehurst and raised in Southern Pines, Little attended college at UNC Chapel Hill before coming back, starting an insurance business and initiating leadership roles that transcended local politics, philanthropy, economic development, education, and even shag dancing. Though he ran unsuccessfully for governor in 2004, he came in last in a 6-candidate Republican primary. Little's greatest success in politics was always behind the scenes as a fundraiser, strategist, and organizer. He helped his good friend Jim Holshouser in 1972 become the first Republican governor elected in North Carolina since Reconstruction. Little went on to serve the Holshouser administration as secretary of what was then called the Department of Natural and Economic Resources. But it was across Moore County where Little left his mark as a tireless promoter, engager, fundraiser, and leader of virtually every local philanthropic effort. Most notably, he joined the Sandhills Community College in 1981 and never left it. He served as its chairman from 1985 until a year ago, the longest such tenure in the nation of anyone serving as chair of a community college board. If Little leaves any lasting legacy in Moore County, it is at SCC, where Little Hall bears his name and countless others bear the foundations to which he either contributed or raised money, often both. After Little stepped down as chairman of the SCC Board of Trustees in 2023, retired Sandhills president John Dempsey spoke of their more than 30-year relationship working together. I do want to tell you that there are a lot of people who think Sandhills is the best community college in the state of North Carolina. And if that is true, the person most responsible for it is George Little, Dempsey said at the time. Dempsey spent 33 years as Sandhills president, saying he stayed so long because of Little. Powerhouse classical music producer Adam Abishaus dies at 63. Renowned classical music producer Adam Abishaus has died. Over a career that lasted more than 30 years, Abishaus made hundreds of records with some of classical music's biggest stars. He won 3 Grammy Awards, including Classical Producer of the Year in 1999. Abishaus died Thursday at his home in Westchester, NY. He was 63. His death was confirmed to NPR by his studio engineer. Early in 2024, he had been diagnosed with bile duct cancer, and the disease swiftly metastasized. He was a producer who inspired great love and loyalty with the artists he worked with. Shortly before the end of his life, a dozen of his celebrity clients came together to perform for Abishaus one last time in a private concert at his home studio. Adam Abishaus understood musicians because he was a musician himself. Born on Long Island in 1961, he began playing violin in the 3rd grade. He studied at New York University and the Manhattan School of Music and performed for years before and after he began producing other musicians, including such groups as the Orchestra of Street Lukes and the Metropolitan String Quartet. Dank performed an Ives sonata. The string trio Time for Three played an original composition entitled Joy. Abishaus produced a record with the group performing with the Philadelphia Orchestra. The recording won 2 Grammys, and Abishaus said the project was one of the highlights of his career. Time for Three's violinist and vocalist Nick Kendall said Adam Abishaus was the most selfless and talented producer the group had ever worked with. What he said to us before we saw him last is a reflection of how he is selfless, said Kendall. Before we left, he said, "Boys, just continue listening to each other." That hit us huge and will always live with us. In 2002, Adam Abishaus founded the Classical Recording Foundation to help artists record music they were passionate about but might not have economic appeal. Because he said, recordings are just as important an art form as live performance. Former ODU head baseball coach Tony Guzzo passes away at age 75. Tony Guzzo, a former Old Dominion head baseball coach who touched the lives of thousands of young men during a lifetime of coaching, passed away early Thursday morning in his native Norfolk. Guzzo was hospitalized late in the summer, and his health deteriorated in recent weeks, said Chris Finwood, ODU's head baseball coach. Guzzo was 75. He was having a hard time and is in a much better place, Finwood said. He was a mountain of a man and was bigger than life. He meant so much to so many people. Guzzo was the head coach at ODU from 1995 through 2004, and he took 3 teams to the NCAA tournament. He was 303 to 252 at ODU before stepping down as head coach. He also coached 3-time Cy Young Award winner Justin Verlander and Matt Quatraro, now manager of the Kansas City Royals. And he grew close to Ben Verlander, Justin's brother and now a Major League Baseball analyst for Fox Sports. I had the pleasure of getting to know him before I was even 10 years old, Ben Verlander said. He was in our home recruiting Justin and sucking down what seemed to be 20 Diet Cokes. But one thing was obvious to us all when he left. We all said, "What a great human being." Justin ended up going to ODU, and so did I 9 years later, and he was still around. No longer as a head coach, but as a brilliant baseball mind. When Gus talked, you listened. That's just the way it was. He has meant a lot to the Verlander family for decades, and he will certainly be missed. Guzzo was an instant success as a coach. After graduating in 1972 from East Carolina University, where he played baseball and football, he was named head coach at Norfolk Catholic High School, his alma mater. Al Pacino, 84, revealed he had no pulse during near-death experience. What happened? At 84, Al Pacino remains one of Hollywood's most respected icons. But in a recent revelation, the Scarface star described a life-altering experience that brought him closer to death than ever before. What exactly happened during that fateful time? Al Pacino has seen his fair share of highs and lows throughout his decades-long career. Rising to fame in the 1970s with unforgettable roles in The Godfather and Dog Day Afternoon, Pacino became a household name. But behind the success, he has faced many struggles, including battles with addiction and moments when his career faltered. Now, Pacino has opened up about one of the most frightening experiences of his life when he had a brush with death. His story offers a rare glimpse into a deeply personal moment when everything seemed to stand still for a few terrifying seconds. Pacino's rise to fame began in the 1970s, a decade that saw him deliver some of the most iconic performances in film history. His role as Michael Corleone in the Godfather trilogy cemented his status as a Hollywood legend. It was followed by unforgettable portrayals in films like Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, and Scarface. His intense, method acting style captivated audiences, making him one of the most influential actors of his generation. Despite this incredible success, Pacino has admitted that the whirlwind of fame during the 70s was a blur to him. Reflecting on that period, he once said, "You don't think of those parts as achievements." The actor explained that it was a fast-paced time, and he didn't fully realize what he was accomplishing. Though he could have rested on his laurels, Pacino has always pushed himself to keep working, never fully satisfied with past successes. Despite this period of success, challenges loomed on the horizon. As the 1980s approached, Pacino would face a series of personal and professional struggles that would test his resilience. Pacino's near-death experience during the pandemic is just one chapter in a long and storied life. Over 5 decades, he has faced professional ups and downs, personal struggles, and health challenges, yet he has always returned to the spotlight. From his breakthrough role to his recent projects, Pacino's ability to reinvent himself has kept him relevant across generations. Despite the brushes with mortality and the challenges of aging, Pacino remains active in the industry he loves. Al Pacino's reflections on his experiences show his resilience and passion for life. His legacy, built on decades of memorable performances, is a testament to his talent and determination.